Now back in the centre of Ringwood to continue the walk along the Avon Valley Path. The White Hart in the marketplace at Ringwood. And that's the way forward. The Church of St Peter and St Paul, Ringwood. The Avon Valley Path passes the thatched old cottage restaurant. And now on the first footpath of the walk. And here's an Avon Valley Path sign showing 9.5 miles to go to Christchurch. And that's the way ahead. The path goes across this field. It looks very wet in places. Now into the next field, which isn't quite so wet. Still on the Avon Valley Path, of course. The Avon Valley Path passes this line of low trees. That's the way forward. It's very wet underfoot. Further on, the path goes right beside the River Avon. Great views of bends in the River Avon. The path has left the riverbank now and goes along this shingle track. I've just come through a very, very wet area, but I'm now on this wide shingle track. The track passes through some pleasant woodland. Further on, I pass this strange looking pedestrian. I'm now on this enclosed path between two fields. After a short distance along a road, the Avon Valley Path goes along this track. The track winds on into the distance. Still on the Avon Valley Path. The usual confirmation that we're on the Avon Valley Path. And that is the way ahead. The Avon Valley Path joins this lane, which is lined with beautiful trees. Now heading through that gate and across the field ahead. Good views around. Approaching the main road, there are some sheep huddling in the shade under a tree. And there's a helpful direction. AVP is Avon Valley Path, of course. And there's the gully. It's the way ahead. The walk passes St Paul's Church, Bisterne. I now have a 3/4 of a mile trudge along the main road. That's the way ahead. The Avon Valley Path leaves the main road along this track. The Avon Valley Path goes along the edge of this field. Hope I'm not talking too soon, but the ground is a lot drier in this area. The Avon Valley Path goes through that kissing gate ahead. The walk passes through this pig farm area, and that's the way ahead along the edge of the field. Approaching Sopley, the Avon Valley Path turns along this pleasant path by a stream. Further along the path by the stream, there are more pigs. Here's an Avon Valley Path sign at Sopley. The Woolpack Inn, Sopley. St Michael and All Angels Church, Sopley. The Avon Valley Path does not pass the church. I've made a slight diversion to have a look at it. Now heading away from Sopley across these fields. The Avon Valley Path heads away from Sopley across a succession of stiles. The Avon Valley Path passes the Lamb Inn at Winkton. Now along this path besides a stream, and the ground's turning muddy again. Further along and the path is drier. Further along still and the views open out to my left. Now at the road at Burton Hall, and as you can see, just over 2 miles to go to Christchurch. Now on a path through a housing estate. Still in the housing estate, and the Avon Valley footpath signs have changed in character. That one's pointing back the way I've come. That's the way I've just come. The path through the housing estate led to a main road which I've crossed, and on the other side of the main road the Avon Valley Path crosses these fields. About 1.5 miles to Christchurch from here. The Avon Valley Path goes across these water meadows towards the River Avon. Needless to say, it's wet underfoot. Now beside the River Avon again. Good views. As you can see, we're now in Dorset. We crossed from Hampshire into Dorset just after Sopley. Continuing along beside the River Avon, rapidly approaching Christchurch now. I've now crossed the river and am on a fenced path on the other bank. Still on the Avon Valley Path, of course. The Avon Valley Path goes under the main London to Bournemouth railway. And that's the way ahead. Now the other side of the railway bridge, good views across the Avon to my left, and there's the Avon Valley Path ahead. Emerging onto the main road at Christchurch, there is this Avon Valley Path sign. And there is Christchurch Priory and the end of the Avon Valley Path, the end of today's walk. I'm afraid the clock is wrong. It's almost exactly 6 o'clock in the evening.